What's up everyone, it's day 82 in the Big Brother 23 house and we now know the winner of part 2 of the final head of household competition, and Big D has had some choice words to say about Azah. We've got so much to talk about guys, so welcome to your live feed update. Now right before we get started folks, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please hit the like button. Hitting the like button does me a huge favour with the YouTube algorithm. It's incredibly difficult to understand, but I know hitting the like button can help me get my content out there more folks, so I'd really appreciate it if y'all could do that. So subscribe button, like button, and whilst you're at it, hit the bell icon to get notified every single time a brand new upload goes live on the channel. Question of the day now people, and it is as simple as this. Who would you like to see win the final head of household of Big Brother 23? Now of course it is a three-parter, and today we're going to be discussing who won part 2. I'm sure a lot of you know already, but I guess it's just a hypothetical one, even if you know the person who you didn't want to win it, or the person you want to win it hasn't necessarily won part 1 or part 2. Just out of the three, who would you like to win the final head of household competition of Big Brother 23? It's basically Xavier, Azah or Big D. Let me know folks. Okay, now let's jump right into who won part 2 of the final head of household competition. A huge congratulations goes to Azah. Congratulations Azah on winning part 2 of the final head of household competition. She will face off against Xavier, who won part 1, in part 3 of the final head of household competition. It really is getting down to the wire now. This is the winner take all kind of moment. It literally is. Whoever wins this is going to win the game. Big D does not stand a chance at winning the game. Azah is going to take Big D to the end. Xavier is going to take Big D to the end. So whoever wins this is very likely going to take home $750,000, the highest prize money in Big Brother history. This is huge. This is the most detrimental HOH competition of all time in Big Brother. I know people can argue for different people, you know, that they were rooting for more, it's more detrimental, but in regards to money being on the line and literally winning the money, if you win it, it's the highest amount, and you probably solidify the money if you win this final head of household competition. So this is huge. But as I said, a massive congratulations to Azah, and commiserations to Big D. Of course, Big D hasn't won a single comp all season. Azah has taken her, you know, I guess you'd class part 2 as a comp win. I would anyway, you know, it's, although it's not the HOH, it's still a comp win. So Azah's second comp win this season. Xavier, I'm trying to remember how many he's won. I feel like it's upwards of 5 now, so that's pretty big. But Big D sits on 0. There you go folks, big fat 0. It's going to be interesting if Big D gets to the end to see if he can actually win the game. I would say it's very unlikely, and I've talked about this kind of all week, and I don't want to say this in a cynical or pessimistic or nasty way. It's kind of just, I do believe this will happen. If Big D gets to the end and the jury asks him questions and he starts to claim that he masterminded this and he controlled this and he dictated all these people, I think it could be one of those moments where the jury will be laughing at him when he's delivering his answers. Like I said, it's not in a nasty way, it's truly how I perceive it to be, because whilst Azah and Xavier would go into the final 2 being quite level-headed and being aware of their game and their, you know, flaws in their game, they can also pick apart Big D's. And as, you know, I've talked about over the past couple of days, being self-aware is a huge advantage when you are in the final 2. You can almost, it's that advantage of not being deluded, I guess, you know, and being able to, you know, not necessarily be like, I did this. It's also going, you know, I did this, but I also did this, and maybe I would have done this different. If nobody likes the person who's going, me, I did all this. People respect you more when you can kind of realise your own mistakes and show where you went wrong, and possibly even apologise to a couple of jurors here and there. You shouldn't really have to apologise to a juror because it's a game, but emotions can get involved in the game, and they do. So apologising can often make your game go a lot further, whereas I don't think Big D is the kind of person who is going to be open to doing that, or even open to discussing flaws in his game, whereas X and Azah can say they did certain things, more specifically X, but they can both also say, I didn't do this, but equally Big D, he did this worse than I did, and you know, they'll accept their flaws. That's my point. Being self-aware and being able to pick apart your own mistakes, but also articulating your accomplishments, puts you miles ahead of the other person in the final 2. But back to what we were saying, a huge congratulations to Azah. She will face off against Xavier in part 3 of the final head of household competition for essentially a winner-takes-all comp. Big D spent some time after the competition saying that he was kind of bummed out because he couldn't even win against one person, that being Azah. And, you know, this has kind of been a common thing that's happened all season long when Big D's had multiple opportunities to win comps. And I'm not saying he didn't try hard, because I'm sure he did, but I mean, his comp performance hasn't been impressive. you know, whether it's been a mix of physical comps and mental comps, he hasn't came through on any of them, because I've seen him complain about physical comps multiple times, which is understandable. And then when he shows up in a mental comp, then he's usually one of the first ones out. So, or performing the poorest out of the house guests that are there. So he's had multiple opportunities to win one. I feel like he's kind of in that mentality. I could be wrong, but I feel like he's kind of in that mentality where it's kind of just like the cards are stacked against him, and he feels like, you know, they're doing this. You know, it's not fair. It's not fair. But listen, in Big Brother, you control your own destiny, and I strongly believe that everybody has the opportunity, unless you're getting backdoored or something, to win the veto or to win. Everybody gets the opportunity to win head of household, for goodness sake. So listen, he's had opportunity after opportunity, and he's still going to make it to the final two. Moving on to the next part, where X was reassuring him, saying, you know, even though you didn't win that, you know, you're going to be taken to the final two either way. Ours is going to take you, I'm going to take you, and it's true. Because Big D can be beaten at the end, but he seems to fail, and just he fails to realise that he's going to lose the game. He truly believes that. He even said this the other day, folks. And I was like, oh my god, this was said yesterday. He said, you know, if I take Azah to the end, I'm pretty sure he said this to Azah. If I take Azah to the end, I'm going to lose. If I take Xavier to the end, I stand a chance to win. In the words of Stanley from The Office, are you on another planet? Jeez, I mean, y'all have found me when I'm talking about Big D's delusions every single time. I find myself speechless, because I truly am. I've got nothing to say on the matter. I'm dumbfounded. I'm thinking, is this guy for real? Like I say, it's nothing personal. I'm sure, you know, when he entertains, he's really, really funny. I mean, there's been a few moments here and there where he said a few things that I'm not happy with at all. When he entertains, he's funny. That's about it. But as a game player of Big Brother, speechless. Like I've said many times before, speechless. Wow, I'm actually sat here laughing. And I'm not laughing at him. It's kind of just I'm laughing at the fact a game of Big Brother. I mean, yes, I get it. You can get sucked in, but to believe that you can beat the person who's been a dominant force in the cookout and won multiple comps, and you think you can't beat the person who's won 2 comps and has not contributed much to the cookout, it makes you wonder, doesn't it, folks? It really does. But either way, Big D's going to be sat in those final 2 seats on finale night. So I guess congratulations is in order in that regard. Now, a moment in the day that was very questionable and quite frankly disgusting in regards to what was said was a moment between Big D and Xavier. So it was talking about, you know, Azah wins the comp, and if she goes to the end without Xavier or whatever, you know, and she obviously Big D doesn't think, you know, I think he thinks that Azah's like top dog for some reason or whatever. But either way, he was saying, you know, her winning the game and everything with him losing the comp, I've just and I'm not going to say the words because they are offensive, of course, but y'all will have seen it in the thumbnail kind of what was said. I just effing handed this I'm not saying it, folks, $750,000, and all she does is naps and sleeps. I mean, for a start, what has Big D done all summer apart from nap and sleep? He's done so much of that, and to call Azah the B word is just... Oh, it's frustrating. Listen, it's been so many times we've seen this season where Big D has been calling women the B word, and it's unacceptable. It's not nice, and it's. Why can't you just say, like, I've just handed Azah? That's her name, you know. You don't need to use a derogatory word like the B word for it. Listen, y'all have seen me talk about how, you know, I'm an advocate for not cancelling someone straight away, and I stand by that, right? I'm not somebody who's like cancel culture. They're disgusting. Nobody, you know, I'm not like that at all. What Big D has said is totally unacceptable and wrong, but I strongly believe as humans what we need to do is give these people a chance to realise their mistakes, educate them, and if they continue to make the mistake afterwards, that's when it's fair enough to kind of write them off. But as humans, we can't just shut people down straight away, in my opinion. Obviously, everybody's going to have their own thing. I do believe he needs to have the chance to come out the house, realise the things he said he's wrong, apologise, and then move on from that. But I don't agree in shutting people down straight away, but I totally think it's unacceptable, the things he said, and he does need to realise and apologise after he has left the house. It's hard to realise when you're in this bubble and you don't know what's going on around you. But you know, I'm pretty sure that saying though, calling women that kind of thing is just not acceptable. You don't do that, and It's wrong. So I am disappointed in him. And on top of that, Xavier was kind of like smiling and everything when Big D was saying that. And he was saying, you know, but, you know, sleeping and napping can get you far sometimes. And it was kind of like agreeing, like, listen, it's tough when you're in the game of Big Brother when you're trying to play a social game to call somebody out on something like that. But you kind of still can't help yourself but go, it's not really right, is it? You know, on a moral level, the fact that Xavier was kind of smiling when it was happening, a bit weird. So, again, I just think it's one of those things where they both kind of need to be educated, maybe. I think Big D's the biggest culprit, though, for actually saying it, but it's that whole thing, isn't it, of, you know, if you're a bystander and you don't speak up on it, it kind of makes you just as guilty. I don't know, but basically, moral of the story is it's not acceptable to be calling women that, and yeah, it was very, very disappointing to see. Yeah, I would like to hear everybody else's opinion on that, and I don't expect people to kind of just be like, let's shut down Big D, because, like I said, well, listen, that's just my perspective from it. I'm somebody who I like to see people grow, and I don't like to see... People should always be given a chance to grow. You can't just shut people down on a mistake, because it is, like I said, it is wrong behaviour, but people do need to be given the chance to be educated. But yes, totally unacceptable what he said, and I hope that he reflects on that when he gets out of the house and makes the apologies. That is all of your live feed updates for today, folks. I thoroughly hope you all enjoyed watching. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on this week so far. Are you happy Xavier won part 1? Are you happy that Azah won part 2? And who would you like to win part 3 and essentially win the entire game of Big Brother 23? Folks, I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts in the comment section below, so please let me know. I hope everybody is having a wonderful and fantastic weekend and resting up out there, folks. Quick shout out to Janelle and Kesa. I'm rocking this one today. This is literally from their entire time in Big Brother. It goes all the way down, you know, to Big Brother 23, or Big Brother 22 from last year. But yeah, folks, quick shout out to Janelle and Kesa, legends of the game. But folks, I'll say as I always do, make sure that you're staying safe, staying positive, and staying healthy out there, and be kind to one another, okay? Very, very important after the things that have happened in the house this week. Be kind to one another. But folks, in the meantime, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. But until your next live feed update, I've been your host, Tom Vasey. Good night.